All right, today we're stepping into the powerful, often dangerous, literary world of the Egyptian writer and activist Nawal el-Saadawi. This is a world where power, identity, and the very idea of freedom are constantly being challenged. Through her work, she gives us this really stark vision of the prisons we live in. Some are made of brick and mortar, sure, but others are built right inside our own minds.
Right off the bat, you can feel the high stakes of her writing. Just get this. The original title of her novel was God Dies by the Nile. Sounds intense, right? Well, it was so provocative that her publisher in Beirut flat out refused to print it. He was terrified that religious fanatics would literally burn his publishing house to the ground. That just shows you how explosive her ideas were. Equating a mortal man with God wasn't just a story, it was a profound act of rebellion.
So, with that in mind, let's step into the world of that novel. We find ourselves in a rural Egyptian village called Kafr El Teen. It's a place ruled by one man, and believe me, his authority is absolute.
Now, the mayor of Kafr El Teen is a man of contradictions, and his physical description tells you everything you need to know. The top half of his face, it suggests this arrogant, refined, almost European colonial master. But the lower half, that's all local peasant. And this split isn't just physical. It symbolizes his entire nature. He's both a tool of a larger oppressive system and a local tyrant in his own right.
And his power isn't just political, not by a long shot. In Kafr El Teen, the mayor basically functions as a god. He gets to decide who lives a good life and who suffers, who's moral and who's a sinner. As one of the villagers puts it, men like him aren't just powerful, they walk over the earth like gods, literally shaping reality to fit whatever they want.
Of course, no god rules alone. So how does he maintain this iron grip? He does it through three key people: the head of security, the religious leader at the mosque, and yeah, even the village barber. Through them, his eyes and ears are everywhere. He controls the law, he controls faith, and he even controls the daily gossip. Nothing happens in Kafr El Teen without him knowing.
So where does all this absolute power land the hardest? On the women of the village. For them, their very bodies become a kind of territory for the mayor to conquer and control.
Just listen to this description of a woman named Zakiya working in the fields. Her hoe is like an extension of her own body, just locked in this relentless, mechanical cycle. The book calls it almost inhuman. See, this isn't just about hard work. It's about a kind of labor that completely erases your humanity, turning a person into a machine stuck in an endless, brutal loop.
And then there's the mayor's predatory gaze, which reduces women to mere objects. When he watches a young woman named Zainab, she's not a person to him. She's just a collection of body parts, an object of his lust. Her own strength and vitality are twisted into something that exists only for his pleasure. It's chilling.
This all culminates in these awful moments, like the assault on Hamida. This isn't just a crime, it's the ultimate expression of his power. It's the physical tearing of her clothes, the violent assertion of his will over her body. In this world, control is written through brute force.
But you know, a prison doesn't always have iron bars. El-Saadawi is brilliant at showing us other kinds of prisons. So now let's shift from the dusty fields of Kafr El Teen to the bureaucracy of Cairo. Here we meet a new character, Fouada, who is trapped by a completely different set of walls.
And El-Saadawi draws this incredible parallel. In the village, the prison is obvious. It's the mayor's huge iron gate. It's physical, it's steel and force. But in the city, Fouada's prison is a clean, white, empty file drawer at her desk. It represents a psychological prison, a place of total stagnation, of stifled ambition. Basically, it's where your intellect goes to die.
I mean, her office is a portrait of living death. She shares the space with colleagues who are described as having mummified heads. It's a place where all the life has just been drained away and people are just sitting there waiting for the clock to run out. It's this soul-crushing existence.
But inside these invisible walls, Fouada starts a quiet kind of rebellion. She's not fighting for physical freedom, not really. She's fighting for the freedom of her mind and for her own identity.
Her rebellion kicks off with this one simple but shocking question she asks herself. After years of defining her entire life through her relationship with a man, she has this sudden moment of clarity. Wait, how did I let one person become my entire world? And that's the spark. That's what ignites her journey to get herself back.
And then her path forward just appears to her, written on the side of a building, a sign for a chemical analysis laboratory. In a flash, she knows exactly what she has to do. It's not about escaping the city, it's not about finding a new man, it's about building something that is completely her own, a space for her work, her intellect, her identity.
This decision suddenly unlocks a memory from her school days, a time when her chemistry teacher singled her out and called her different. That one word, that little piece of validation for her unique potential, had been buried for years, but now it comes rushing back, giving her the strength she needs to go after her ambition.
Now, what's so powerful about El Saadawi's work is that she shows how these stories of trauma and identity aren't just isolated incidents. She's deeply interested in how they form a larger, repeating cycle that's hard to break.
This children's rhyme, which is sung throughout the story, is absolutely haunting. It's a circling song with no real beginning or end, and it perfectly mirrors the cycles of violence it's describing. Birth, abandonment, brutal death, all of it is turned into a simple playground chant. It shows just how deeply this trauma is woven into the very fabric of society.
And this is where things get really wild. El Saadawi herself starts to blur the line between fiction and reality. She describes this moment walking down the street and seeing a child whose face is impossibly her own. It's this completely disorienting experience that suggests a profound connection, that the stories of her characters are her story, and maybe our story too. The individual kind of dissolves into this shared cyclical human experience.
And that brings us to this final, really provocative thought from El Saadawi. What does it mean to face something with open eyes, only to realize that you're blind? To witness these cycles of oppression out in the world, and maybe even within ourselves, yet remain totally blind to their true nature or our part in them? It's a powerful, uncomfortable question about awareness and recognition, and it sits right at the very heart of all of her work.